Last week, we talked about false flags that can embarrass those who pass them along. We will continue on this. Several times, this has included the idea that foreign troops are either at our border or they're already amassing within our country. The John Birch Society has long had to deal with false flags designed to make anti-communists look ridiculous. I recall one time when a local leader in the anti-communist movement, but not a member of the John Birch Society, called around to all the JBS leaders and members he knew and told them that the Ticonderoga aircraft carrier had been sunk by the North Vietnamese, and that everyone needed to tell everyone they knew of this event immediately. Those who did this lost all credibility with their friends and relatives because it never happened. They trusted this man and found their trust was misplaced. I could tell you of other neutralizing things this man did, but there isn't enough time, so I will simply tell you he became the public relations man for Boeing and remained a neutralizing factor among conservatives everywhere he lived. Another problem we have had to deal with is the rumors of Chinese troops amassing at the Mexican border. I can think of at least twice this device was used to get conservatives relating things that were simply not true. We have to think logically about stories and verify them before we use them. With our magazine, we do this. And even if we know something is fact, we do not necessarily use the story unless every aspect can be verified. In regard to being invaded, the logistics of such an adventure are simply too complicated to attempt by a foreign power. There is one caveat, unless it is to support an internal conflict. The main problem with any foreign army invading would have to be its supply lines, which would easily be cut by American military power. Recall that Germany was beaten by Russia during World War II, in part because their supply lines were too long and complicated by the inferior Russian roads. General George Patton got bogged down fighting the Germans in Europe because his forces outran his supply lines, and he had to pause more than once due to this problem. Consider the logistical problems that would be in play if the Chinese, for instance, tried to invade the United States, even with the help of one of our neighbors. We know that the Chinese and Canadians have held joint military exercises, but this is a long way from amassing an invasion. It should not be surprising that a socialist Canada is working with the Communist Chinese. It is only one of the reasons the JBS has opposed the USMCA, or the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. You can't trust a socialist or corrupt country to hold to its agreements. And you can never trust a Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada. When I had Montana as a territory for the Society, I used to listen to a lot of Canadian radio while up along the northern edge of that state. I recall hearing Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, on the radio stating that if he had to adopt the Communist Manifesto to get reelected, he would do so. The Trudeau family is at best a socialist one, and Justin Trudeau was livid when the latest joint military exercise with China was called off, which, by the way, was to be held in the northern reaches of Canada. As a result of these exercises, rumors abound that the Chinese are going to invade us from Canada. The possibilities of that, from a military planning standpoint, are very remote. Besides, if you read my book on Chinese infiltration into the United States, they don't need to invade us. They're already here, within a wide swath of our society. In any case, we have to be very careful what we believe over the next several months and do not do anything which would harm the image of the John Birch Society. In closing, I would like to recall the words of Abraham Lincoln in this regard. Quote, "At what point shall we expect the approach of danger? By what means shall we fortify against it? Shall we expect some transatlantic military giant to step the ocean and crush us at a blow? Never. All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa combined, with all the treasure of the earth, our own excepted, in their military chest, with a Bonaparte for a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio or make a track on the Blue Ridge in a trial of 1,000 years. At what point, then, is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide.